Hello, friends. Happy Alban Arthan. Winter solstice, Yule, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all the things. Happy all the things. It is freezing here. We have some kind of like weird winter thing going on across the whole United States. I like to snowshoe, so I do like snow. But I'm not a huge fan of the biting wind and the windy and cold whatever is going on out there. So we're all kind of stuck in the house, and I've been watching movies and doing stuff. And I'm on call as the only person on my staff who I require to work during the holiday season. When you're the boss, you have benefits, and then um, there are some limitations, and that being one of them is that I lost that battle years ago. So I'm on call and I have to work. But it's okay because I work from home, so I don't actually have to go out in the cold weather. So that's good. So yesterday we celebrated winter solstice, or Alban Arthan, as my family calls it. And what we do for that is my brother comes up, and that's when we celebrate Christmas together. And my nieces come, and it's always a really good time. Sometimes we play games, and there's all the retelling of so many stories. And one fun thing this year was that I didn't eat asparagus for like 40 years because my brother would chase me with it as a little child, and I was scared of it because he told me that it would cut my throat. I believe anything that kid told me. So I didn't eat it, and then a few years ago somebody made it for me, and it was like so delicious, and I'm like, holy crap, I've been missing out all these years. So I made the boy asparagus. So we had a good time for this year. I try to do creative gifts because I'm not really materialistic, but my nieces have expressed a lot of interest in the things that I do in the eightfold wheel. And so I wrote up my version of how I celebrate them, which is really not like any versions that you're going to find online, because I sort of pick and choose the things that I like. And no, it's not wrong. I don't care. I don't care what people say. You do your own thing. You don't need to do what other people do, which I'll talk about in a minute. But so I made them each a basket, and I put things in, and I didn't tell them what to use the things for. I gave them like a little scroll that had how I celebrate each of the eightfold celebrations, and then they can pick through the basket and find what brings them the most meaning for each of those celebrations if they want to observe them. Now, I observe the four main ones, the four Celtic ones. Sometime over time, the modern Druids adopted the additional four, probably in concert with the fella that, I don't know if he founded Wicca or discovered Wicca or brought Wicca to light or whatever he did, Gardner. So, but there's four that, the Albans, there's three Albans, and then Samhain. So I do my own thing, and you can do your own thing. If nobody has told you this, you can do your own thing. You do not have to do, you have to do whatever your church does, right? Because if you're in a religious tradition, like I was in the Anglican tradition, there are the traditions that the church does, and that's kind of what you're signing up for when you go to that church, right? And while you can make little changes, really the priest is in charge of the changes that get made. And in the High Holy Anglican Church, the conservative church, change is not welcome, right? So things have been done the same way for years and years, and there's a little comfort in that because that means I can go to any Anglican church that's in that very strict tradition, and they're all going to be doing the same thing that my church did. Maybe a little bit of, music's different because they use a different setting, but for the most part, they're going to be using the 1923 Book of Common Prayer. It's going to go the way it's going to go, and it's going to be the same no matter where you go. And people find comfort in that. The Roman Catholic tradition, very similar. They don't even have prayer books. Everybody like has to memorize the service when they do their CCD or whatever, but in the Druid practice, and there are religious Druids and philosophical Druids. I'm not a religious Druid, and I'm barely a philosophical Druid, really, because Druidry has gained a lot of popularity recently. And that's because there are movies that include, Merlin and things like that. And that's cool. But we don't really know a lot about the original Druids, whomever they were, because they didn't write anything down. Very much like the Native American culture, it was oral. And in the Druids' case, they felt that writing was sacred. They were fluent in both Roman and Latin, or Latin and Greek. They were fluent in both. And then their own writing style, which is Ogham, and also in runes. So they were multilingual, but they didn't write things down. And the only things that we have really that is written about them was written by the Romans after they conquered them. So, that story is always going to be different on different sides of that coin. So I don't really trust it, right? So, when we talk about modern Druidry, we are talking about a few hundred years old of, the revival of Druidry and sort of going back to this Celtic spirituality. And now they've created rituals that bring meaning to a lot of people, and I'm not undercutting any of those rituals or any of that meaning. I just don't find meaning in it because to me, it feels like church. If I want to go to church, I'll just go to church, right? So as I get older, I'm less willing to do the rituals and practices of others. I'd rather create things that are meaningful to me. So that's what I do, and it changes all the time, right? So my religion is Christianity. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe that he was born of a virgin, suffered on a cross, rose 3 days later. I believe that. And I have lots of atheist friends who tell me I have my head straight up my butt. You are welcome to believe that. That is entirely your right. But that's what I believe. So I believe that. I don't believe that you have to believe in the Bible to be a Christian. That you have to believe it's the divine, unfettered word of God. I think it might be, I definitely think it's inspired. I think it's missing a lot of parts. Like I've said before, there's more evidence that Mary Magdalene was Jesus's wife than there's evidence that she wasn't. So, I don't know the answers to those questions because a lot of stuff got buried by human hands over time. So, um, you know, it is what it is, and you take it and you draw meaning from it where you can, and then really prayer is what Jesus asked us to do, right? He didn't say sit around reading a book. He said pray, right? Pray. So, philosophically, Druidry, um, there are a lot of different variations, just like there are in Christianity, just like there are in Judaism. There's different sort of, strictnesses and different flavors of it. And the beauty of Druidry is that all of the paths are considered valid, and that I don't have the right to tell you how to walk on your path. My job on my path is to help you achieve goodness on your path. And, of course, that doesn't apply to illegal things or, bad actions that hurt others, right? But if you want to believe in 15 different sun gods, it's not up to me to judge whether that's right or wrong. My job is to make sure that you have a safe space to do that, right? So I actually buy into that part of Druidry, and it's probably the most appealing, next to the adherence to nature and to Mother Earth, right? God created this world. It is a gift that we get to enjoy. We should take better care of it. We should be stewards of natural resources, understanding that we as humans need to live on this earth and eat and work and do things like that, right? There is a balance that can be struck, and there needs to be advocates here that are looking at both sides of all issues, right? So, when it comes to rituals and when it comes to celebrating, as I've said before, the Eightfold Wheels, it's not just one day, right? So winter solstice, the Yule tide, right? It's a period of time. 12 days of Christmas is Christmas Day through Epiphany, right? It's a longer celebration than, just like Samhain is a few days, right? Solstice is a few days. So this is the shortest, darkest time of the year, and now light. Each day we're going to get more and more light until the summer solstice, where we get less and less light. So, this really is a part of the year where we're asked to rest, to prepare for a bright, beautiful spring, and to be the light in a very dark world. And when you look at all of the world traditions that happen right now, Hanukkah, Christmas, solstice, they're all about bringing light. Alban Arthan actually literally translates to bringer of light, right? So, being light in the dark world. You don't have to be religious. You don't have to be spiritual. You can be atheist, agnostic. You can be anything. You can be pagan, Wiccan, whatever. You can be a light bearer no matter what you believe. Light is bringing goodness into the world and shining a beacon to provide hope for people who are in dark spots. And in the winter, when it's cold and we're isolated, we're not able to get out and enjoy the sunshine in the same ways that we can when it's warmer out. It's important to take care of each other. It's important to help each other through the dark times of life. People have seasonal depression, right? And that comes from because the light, it's darker. So as we go into the Christmas season, or the Alban Arthan season, or whatever it is you celebrate, be light, bring light, and do things that bring you meaning. We, for all the eightfold celebrations, I do a feast and I do a fire. That is what I do. And if you're into this stuff, one of our festivals is a sex fest, right? Some people really do embrace that tradition. Some Wiccans do, some don't. Some witches do, some don't. Some Druids do, some don't. It's the one day of year you can cheat on your spouse. That's the Druid understanding of, I'm not going to tell you which holiday it is. You need to go look it up yourself. I don't practice that. I don't practice that. I have my own views about modern marriage and the business practices of marriage, or whatever. I have views on it, but I don't think that you get a free pass one day a year to go and hoe yourself out. That's just disgusting. Right. So I don't buy into a lot of this stuff, because I don't find any historical roots to it. And I think it's just stuff that people make up so that they can do things that they want to do. Well, then why can't we all make stuff up that we want to do? I don't want to do that. I want to do other stuff. So I do earthing when it's warm out for the spring festivals. I do earthing. I do a lot of bonfires in my yard. That's what I do. That's what I do the most, and I do a lot of eating. Some holidays I have extra plates for my ancestors. Sometimes I'm hanging things on my trees, or sitting apples out in front of a tree, or putting things out for the fairies. Those are the things I do. I don't tend to celebrate with others. Solstice is the one of the 8 that I celebrate with family. With my extended family. All the rest, the people living in this house, they have to endure it because I pay the bills. So they have to buy into my shenanigans. But it's up to them what they want to believe. So I don't pressure them into believing anything. So for Yule, of course, I have a Christmas tree. I actually do go out and decorate a tree outside as well for the ancestors and the fairies with lights and ornaments. I will put out on Christmas morning bird seed for the birds, and help them along in the winter as well. It is super, super cold, so I'm worried about the birds and all the wildlife and the feral cats and the wild dogs and the bears. The bears are sleeping, I guess, but turtles, frogs, I worry about everybody. So I do that, and then we do always a shot on Christmas. We do a ceremonial shot on every major holiday, honoring those who've come before and those who will come after and those with whom we stand. So we do that. And then I get ready to celebrate Hogmanay, which is a bigger sort of party environment than Christmas. So that has a ritual fire also, where you burn out all the sins of the previous year. And it's a giant party. We go away every year, and this year the kids aren't going. So it's a bunch of friends going together, and we rented a cabin, and there will be shenanigans. You know who you are, Navigator. So So I'm going to end with just something new that I put into my practice this year that I hadn't done before. I had to grab it. Um, I have these millions of subscription boxes. Of course, it's not going to come off. Yes, it is. I have all these subscription boxes, and one of my subscription boxes, Spiritual Goodies, they sent a kit where you could make a blessing ball. And in the Wiccan or witchcraft traditions, these are called spell balls. I am not a witch or a Wiccan, so, and I don't do magic, but I really like the idea of making this ball. And so now they wrote a word on this big bay leaf, like whatever their intention was. But I actually wrote out an intention because I'm an English professor and I like to write. So I wrote out an intention and I you know, tied it up there. And then you kind of surround it with all these different herbs and crystals. And you keep it up all year long and you shake it like once a week to remind yourself of what the goal is. And I don't think it's that it has to be secret. I don't think it's just like wishing upon a star. And if you say it out loud, so the intention for the year is to be grateful for abundance and, to protect our home from harm, ill health, and sorrow. So this is this ball, but I really enjoyed making it. I'm not an artsy craftsy person, if you follow along, but this was very simple to do, and Spiritual Goodies gave you everything you needed to make it, including the instructions, which were easy to follow, and explained what each of the herbs meant and the crystals and stuff, and so. It was really easy to do for someone like me who has absolutely no skills in this regard. And you can hang it on your tree, or I'm actually hanging it behind me here so that it's near me. And it was just a really cool thing to do. And I have to say, I get a bunch of subscription boxes now because I've been test driving them. I won't keep all of them, but I'm testing them out right now. But of all the things I've gotten in any of the boxes, including my Scottish box, which I love a lot, this is the coolest thing. This project was the coolest thing I ever got in any box. So, mad props to Spiritual Goodies, and I'll put a link below in case you want to. I think you can order the one-off boxes if you don't want to get a subscription, but you can also, I think maybe just buy the kit that this all came in. Sometimes they sell the one-off stuff. So this is my newest thing for this year, and I'll probably do this every year because it was just really a nice evening of I had incense lit and Celtic classical music playing, and I was like really in just my own little space, like thinking about how grateful I am for all the amazing things that happened in my life. And then, asking, to continue to receive those blessings and to always be ever mindful of being grateful and also ever mindful of the needs of others, right? To not be so comfortable in my own circumstances that I neglect my duties as a fellow human. So I am wishing all of you abundance and gratitude and protection from harm, protection from illness, and protection from grief. Wishing you all the very best in light and love, especially during Alban Arthan. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.